Our episode kicks off with a dice game where nobody actually rolls the dice, but they call it a card game. Faye labels it a strategic card game, while Scimitar admits he's clueless about it, making the match a level playing field. The narrator announces it's a 4-player game. Scimitar's cool with it, representing his Tempest Cruiser team, until a girl emerges from the shadows, declaring herself their opponent. She introduces herself as Kelrich, a subordinate of Dax Scimitar. Dax nudges Faye to pick his partner, assuming it'd obviously be his longtime buddy, Lelicia, but Lelicia wonders if Pearl can handle it. Pearl assures her she's game now. She's fearless when it comes to games. Lelicia pledges her support and tells Pearl and Faye to give it their all. Faye just flashes a grin. There are 2 ways to win the mental arena. Reach the 44th square first, or use a magic or trap card to zero out an opponent's life. To aim for victory, players choose their class. In this game, there are 4 classes. Mage, whose attack magic deals an extra damage point. Healer, whose healing magic provides an extra healing point. Traveler, who can move an extra square when using dice cards. And Trapper, whose trap squares are off limits and can enhance the trap they step on. The Mage and Healer have straightforward abilities, while the Traveler and Trapper offer versatile options. Before selecting classes, they'll each receive 5 random cards. Pearl's Thrill. The cards are right in front of them. There are 3 types of magic cards: attack, recovery, and special. For instance, the Big Flame attack magic deals 2 damage to the target player. Used cards are stored in the team's repository. There are 72 magic cards, and players can always check card info. Faye's got the scoop. It's a battle of wits. He spots a special card, powerful but only usable by a healer. Pearl gushes over a rare magic, but Faye notes its conditions are quite strict. Activate with 5 or fewer life points and 1 card in hand. Pearl finds the conditions intriguing. Faye ponders. Regardless, they must first decide on their classes. Travelers progress quickly, while healers protect life, making them the long-term objective seekers, unlike mages and trappers who focus on damaging opponents. Both Faye and Pearl boast a ton of healing magic, so reducing the opponent's life to 0 will be a tough nut to crack. The goal's marked by a typical board. In other words, reaching the end wins. Faye sizes up his opponents, thinking hitting the goal alone is a dull victory, and his opponent doesn't seem like one to play it safe. It's game time, and they're asked to choose classes. Dax is grinning, brimming with confidence. Faye accepts the challenge and picks the Traveler class. He gears up with the class's attire. Pearl opts for the Healer class, then gears up accordingly. Dax goes for the Mage class, and so does Kelrich. Faye notices they both picked mages, suspecting they've formed a powerful setup to take him and Pearl down. Then, the narrator deals out the dice cards, the substitutes for actual dice. Players can pick any number between 1 and 6 from the dice cards. You can grab 2 magic cards in the gold square and 1 in the silver square. The red square is a trap zone. Faye reckons if he wants to wrap things up quickly, he should aim for the highest number, 6. But if he wants to land on the same square as someone else, he can't grab cards. Nell's in the stands with Lelicia, debating whether to go for the goal or grab cards. As soon as the game starts, decisions have to be made. Lelicia agrees, and the narrator kicks off the first phase. All players must place their dice cards on the field. It's Faye's turn, and he heads to his spot. Normally, Faye could snag a magic card, but Dax is on the same square, so he can't buy. Faye decides against using his Traveler ability this time, and that wraps up his turn, so Dax steps up for his turn and whips out the Mage's special card, Barrier Spell. He amps up the heat, affecting all players. It's like a double-edged sword. If he deals damage, he receives extra damage. Pearl's scratching her head, wondering why he'd pull that card. Then it's Pearl's turn. She holds onto her card and wraps up the round. Kelrich is up next, grabbing 2 cards and unleashing Thunder Attack. She plans to zap Faye and Pearl for 1 damage each. The hitch: they've already taken hits from both Dax and Kelrich, and the heat's gonna keep coming as long as that fiery pace persists. If they keep taking hits, they're toast. Faye's got 38 squares to go, while Pearl's got 42. Even if Faye rolls 6s every time, it'll take him 7 turns to get there. Dax knows Faye's all about reaching the goal ASAP, but his and Kelrich's objective is to bring the pain. Kelrich keeps the onslaught coming, activating Repulsion Chains, a persistent ability lasting till the game ends. Before wrapping up her turn, Faye's got a one-track mind. Not wanting to tip his hand, he tells Pearl not to hold back, because if they let those 2 mages survive, they're toast. Phase 2 begins, and the narrator calls for players to place their dice cards. Faye Faye and Pearl oblige, with Faye urging Pearl to crush them. They reveal their cards, not wanting Kelrich to restock her hand. Pearl unleashes Pearl's fire, and Faye's a bit puzzled. Pearl uses the card to whack Dax for 3 damage. Dax vows payback, conjuring up Dax's Thunderbolt. He admires Pearl's clever name change for a card ability and follows suit. Faye finds it odd. They're really competing over this. However, Dax's ability has nothing to do with a Thunderbolt. Kelrich employs Heaven's Lightning, trading 4 damage from Repulsion Chains and the Fiery Pace for 4 damage on the opponent, totaling 7 with the additional mage damage and the Fiery Pace. Now Pearl's left with just 1 life point, but Pearl's got a quick heal spell, Lucky Break, storing a card from her hand in the depot to reduce damage by 8 points. She's a healer, so up to 9 points. Kelrich crows that Pearl's down, while Dax plays Greed's Toll, nullifying Pearl's healing spell. Kelrich explains that now her 7 points of damage kick in and Pearl's down to 1 life. Activating Lucky Break triggers Repulsion Chains, so Pearl loses another 2 life points. Faye tells Kelrich not to forget about him, then uses Quick Magic, Heart Bandages, to reduce his ally's damage by 2 points. Dax reckons Faye saving his ally there will bite him later. Faye takes his turn, leveraging the damage he received from Repulsion Chains to activate Divine Army Sword Attack, dealing 5 points to Dax. He follows up with Soul Sacrifice, storing a card from his hand in the depot to recover 3 damage from each player. Now it's Pearl's turn. She conjures 2 Oasis Waters cards and restores 9 life points. Pearl's back up to 10 life points and ends her turn. Leilicia watches the game with Nell, remarking it looks like Dax's days are numbered, but they still have 6 cards stashed away. Phase 3 kicks off, and all players must place their dice cards. Dax tells Faye they'll settle this turn. Faye reassures Pearl they're sticking to their victory plan from start to finish. Pearl's on board without hesitation, and they reveal their cards. Dax plays a 4, triggering a trap. Then it's Pearl's turn. She grabs 2 cards and discards 1 to use Pearl's barrier, nullifying one of the spells she receives, and then wraps up her turn. Faye's turn starts. He uses the Traveler ability to move 1 space, totaling 7, and wraps up his turn. Kelrich says Faye's playing it safe, and Pearl's barrier spell was a good move, but not enough. Kelrich insists no matter how careful Pearl was, she's toast. Then she uses the same ability Pearl did, Big Flame, but it's all part of Kelrich's plan. She knew Pearl had the barrier, so she follows up with Absolute Equality, forcing all players to draw or discard cards until they have 4 cards in hand. Finally, she uses the Dimensional spell and ends her turn. Now it's Dax's turn, and he thinks they're thinking there's nothing but disadvantages for him, but he whips out the Restriction Magic, Double Trap, to switch who takes the trap damage. Faye knew he'd pull this. There's no reason for him to step into a trap unless he wants to transfer the damage. Pearl's got 8 HP, and he's got 7 to transfer. With the Fiery Pace, it becomes 8, but Faye says it's not the right time yet and uses the Restriction Magic, Twin Torment. Dax had another trick up his sleeve, so he conjures Silence Order Magic, sealing all of Faye's card uses until the end of the match, and wraps up his turn. Faye tells Pearl to chill because his cards haven't been sealed, and the 3rd phase has ended. But Kelrich says now that everyone has played, the Dimensional spell she used would be revealed. Everything's under Kelrich's control. She's thought about every move her rivals would make. Pearl's got 5 HP and is about to take 10 damage. She starts crying, and Kelrich says victory is theirs. Pearl gets mad, saying she's not a burden to Faye. She won't let it end like this, so she summons the Last Dance, a card that can only be activated when the player's about to hit 0 HP. A strong card like that also comes with a risk. At the end of that additional turn, she'll take 20 points of damage and lose. Faye just believes in his partner, so Pearl activates the Life Vibrations magic, costing her 10 HP but giving her back 10. Now she's at 11. Then she attacks Dax, who's got 4 HP left, and uses the Lightning counter-attack card, but he reduces the damage with a card. Pearl then uses the Pearl's Fire card, and just as she thought they'd have life cards, she uses the Past Words card, which lets her deal double damage. Dax is impressed, but he still had it all planned out and uses a card to transfer the damage he would suffer to Kelrich. Pearl apologizes to Faye, but Faye says they actually won. Pearl activates her last card because the conditions were met. Quick Magic. Encore. She can add a depot card to her hand, and she chooses the Heartache card, a special one. They let their guard down, making Pearl and Faye win. Dax underestimated Pearl, but congratulates her.